what has to be done? They give them the pack back. They have to stand up, kipshutai mamish, with no choice but to attack back the enemy, to hold responsible, to hold accountable, to kill the perpetrators of such a crime on Klal Yisrael. And Yidden are attacking back, kipshutai. And then the more people we kill, the bigger the enemy becomes. With each killing of a Hamas guy, we're creating more Hamas. Hamas is not a person, it's an ideology. And we seem to be creating more enemies with each person that we kill, but we have to kill. There's not an intelligent person I've met in Simchas Torah who has a practical solution for the situation we're in. What does it look like? What is the quote-unquote the day after? What ends the war? What's the positive solution? And we're in a matziv, a difficult matziv, and the only answer is tefillah la'ani, we're davening to Hashem. The only answer. I haven't heard one intelligent answer and solution, not one from very intelligent people. The answer is tefillah, to turn to Hashem. We have listen to this verse from the Barditchva that he said, relevant to something mamish today, heintige parsha, heintige in Yanim. The chizuk to this, to me, was Nair. The Barditchva asks that by Makas Arba in Parshas Boy, in this coming week's parsha, by Makas Arba it says, Hashem says, I'm going to harden Paro's heart. Why does Hashem write it by Makas Arba, not by Dam, Tzvardei, Yakinim, or by Arba, God said, I'm going to harden Paro's heart. I punked by this Makkah, the Barditchev asked. The Barditchev says that if you make a calculation, the Makkah of Arba happened on Tu B'Shvat. If you make a cheshbon, the Makkah, which means Moshe told, Hashem spoke to Moshe, Moshe spoke to Paro, it was this week, Demlach. And he was speaking about a Makas Arba that's happening Tu B'Shvat. Says the Barditchever that there are two ways Hashem protects his people, Klal Yisrael, over history. There are times when Hashem kills the enemy. Parah and his whole army is drowned, Kriyas Yamsuf, and there's a time that Hashem kills the enemy. That's how Hashem defends his people from adversaries. And there's a time that Hashem just all of a sudden makes the adversary like his people. Esav's coming to attack Yaakov Avinu. He's coming with an army and full of rage and hate, and inexplicably he kisses Yaakov Avinu because God was Gezer. Chach Gezer HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Inexplicably he just changes just like that. Says the Barditchever, it's coming Tu B'Shvat, a month to Purim, Shloshim Yom Koydem HaChag. Said the miracle of the Purim story, says the Barditchever, had that element. Achashverosh was a Sinai on par with Haman. And Mitamal, he turns and he decides to be a fan of Klal Yisrael and to be on our side and our team. And the Yeshua of Purim, he says, is that Hashem leiv melachim biyim luchu. I control kings. Hashem decides, a melech. Hashem controls kings. Hashem decides. Years ago in Yeshiva, we had a Ben Torah, he lives in Monsey today, beautiful. In Yisrael's days, there was a guy who was in Yeshiva, and he was a big fan of a certain Israeli general. He loved this general. He read the book about him. He used to speak about this general. He was tough. I liked the general as a lover of Yidden. He liked Yidden and Am Yisrael. He was like, and he fiercely protected and supported Klal Yisrael. We had a guy in Yeshiva who was like a vibrant chassid of this general. He read his book. The book went around the Yeshiva. The general Mitamol becomes prime minister, and there's never been a prime minister Kemat. He all of a sudden started returning land. Then he went in a coma for over a decade. But he just gave away land. It was like a pella. It was like what he did was a pella. Acted the exact opposite of anybody thought he would act. And I don't know pshat, I'm not a politics guy. I just know that when somebody gets in charge, you lose a lot of bechir. It's a pasuk. Leiv melachim b'yim luchu. Hashem runs countries. Hashem decides, and he became a prime minister. He lost his bechir. Anything he stood for, he went the opposite. Leiv melachim b'yim luchu. Hashem decides. Countries and events of countries is in the hand of Hashem. And says the says Reb Levi Yitzchak, says the Barditchev like this. He says that 30 days before there was a makkah called Arba in the Bria, and that's the achana for the Purim story. And in the makkah of Arba, Hashem said, you'll see, by logic, Paro should let Am Yisrael out, but I control the hearts of kings. And it was a lesson in the Purim story. There's going to be a melech who's against Klal Yisrael when that was supposed to be. And in a second, I'm going to flip his heart around to be in favor. I control the heart of kings. I decide, says the Bible, and that's what Hashem wanted to put in the Bria on a month before Purim, that people should know the Ashba'is of Purim, that Hashem controls. The event could look scary, unsolvable, and what's going to be. And not that times the enemy is defeated, but there's a Tifra thing could just be flipped around, that in a second the biggest Sinai could become an Oyev. And Achashverosh could be a Sinai, and Hashem makes him an Oyev, just like Paro should let us out, and Hashem controls the hearts of rulers, and in a second, the Melech doesn't, in a second, the Melech who should do A will do B, will do something different. This is what Hashem's teaching us. I felt the chizuk from the Barditchev. I felt tremendous in a matziv with no eitzah, and the more that I killed, the more there's hate. All the sinner that comes is all controlled. In a second, Hashem decides, we turn to the Melech, Malchi Amlachim, and in a second, everybody could be fans, everybody could love Klal Yisrael. In a second, all the sinner can turn by the one who controls the world, who controls the events of the world in 1 second. I appreciated the verse from the Barditchever, specifically in our matzav. I appreciate it a lot. I wanted to say any vern, especially vertim that speak about what goes on the inside, that the external events could look some way, and Hashem in a second could switch around the lave. And he says, B'dafka on Tu B'Shvat, that's taught. So I want to talk for a few minutes about Tu B'Shvat. Before I came to whatever, the only thing, when you're little kids, like somebody goes around and gives Buxer, the Yom Tov of Tu B'Shvat didn't mean a lot to me. Today, it's like the Yom Tov of the yeshiva. Tu B'Shvat and yeshiva is everything. Why do I have such a love of Tu B'Shvat? Because of what the guys have taught me and changed my life. I was a person who saw the external, be stark, learn stark and daven, and external, rooted in the world of Maisa. And I met people who introduced me to the world of Pnimius. I saw people struggling and working on the Pnimius. And I started looking inside. I'm in the middle of looking inside, not just to do the external, to do in the Pnimius, to work things out, to resolve, to connect more to what we're doing. That it's not just to do it in the Chitzanius, it's to connect and relate. It's not just to keep Shabbos, it's to crave Shabbos, to find that place of attachment to Shabbos Kodesh, to find that place inside that has not just learned Torah, but Abbas HaTorah, to find that place of connection. I see in our generation a tremendous madregas of connecting to things, of relating to things, of resolving in honesty and a courage. To work what's in here. I'm called up about a bacher. He was the top guy in his yeshiva, and today he's not from. That's not the story. That's a very external. By the way, the Pnimius' story is he used to have a soul, and he still has a soul. Probably he's more in touch with his soul. You're seeing a chitzonistic story. Now, when he was stark, what was happening inside? Was he happy? Was he connected? Did he understand? What did he see himself as? And in fact, he has a journey. We all have a journey to see the Pnimius, who we are. We're fiery souls with tafkidim of Kiddush Shamayim. That's the inside world that we have to get in touch with. I appreciate a lot that there's a chag right now in a week that celebrates the rebirth of the trees. Everybody see outside, it's the biggest wintry mush. Right now, the snow with rain, they call it a winter mix. It's cold and blustery. Mazel tov, the trees have reborn. The secular person sees the birth of the trees only in Nisan. Nisan, whoa, the second. But the Yid sees deeper, sees the Pnimius, sees what's going on behind the scenes. The answer is that there's lachluchas, deep underground juices are flowing. A guy once spoke in yeshiva by graduation. He said, today I learned 12 hours a day, like 500 people, there are 600 people. He said, you're all celebrating me. stark. He said in 10th grade, you would have said a struggler, stay away from him. He said, everything I am today is from 10th grade. He said, it's there that I made an attachment. I loved my Rebbe. It's there that I found what I want, what I'm interested. It's there. You're seeing today how it came out in the Chitzonius, but it's 10th grade when this happened. And I was taught by the guys to learn the world of Pneumius, to learn the world inside, the world that's going on inside, to resolve, to figure out, to connect. Somebody asked the Waterbury guy in Eretz Yisrael, what's with you guys? He said, life is short, just do. I don't get you worried. How am I feeling? How is it hitting me? Just do. Like, bring yourself to Shachar Soda if you hate it. Just, you got to do. The answer is that I want to pray to God and care about it. I want that one sincere prayer. I want to open a Torah and mean it and care about it. My son asked me, he said, Tati, years ago you sat and you learned a nice amount. Right? You barely get to learn. It must be so hard. I told him I certainly would love to learn more, but I said I feel closer to my Gemara than I ever felt in my life. I want to open a Gemara, and this matters to me. Hashem's Torah matters to me. And because of the Chevra, Hashem's Torah matters more than it ever meant in my life. And there's a world of Pneumius, and the Chag of Tu B'Shvat is a world of Pneumius, that we're crazy people celebrating Mazel Tov, the rebirth of the trees. What rebirth are you talking about? Underground, there's lachluchas flowing there. We can't afford to ignore the world within. It's disastrous. When you ignore the world within, very, very dangerous. I beg people always to lean into their own story and lean into your kid's story. The story is not the external thing happening. We do not have the same story sitting in this room. So I'm thinking, I hope I get on top. I'm not really thinking so much about that. Whatever we're thinking, each person's having their own experience. The story is not the superficial story. It's what's going on inside that you have to be sensitive to and be aware of and work through and build and create. Rahman Alibabai, Hashem wants that world. He wants that world of Pneumius. It matters, that world inside. I've learned that from the guys in Tu B'Shvat. To me, a lot is the Chag that speaks it out. We're celebrating the rebirth of the trees in the dead of the winter. Is the Chag because something's flowing inside and we care about that. And we're aware that future payers that come out. It's interesting. In 12th grade, people always thank the yeshiva. Wow. In 10th grade, I'm like defending. Tell the father, your son's doing wonderful. So, what are you doing? You're making it up? You know, because inside he has good feelings. He has environment. Because you know why? Because he likes his Rebbe. You'll see what that means in 30 years, in 60 years, what it means. I have nothing to prove it in 10th grade. He looks less from maybe. But inside, something's flowing. Something matters. There's no cynicism. He cares about something. He cares about something and is looking towards something. There's hope. There's a dream. There's aspirations. Something has developed inside, and that will bring payers. It will yet be seen. That's what I see Tu B'Shvat as the world of Pneumius, the world inside. So when we look at external events, this part from the Bardetchev, that's in terms of chinuch, is a world that matters, and it's not to discount the world of Asiya. Actions matter, but we have to look inside as well and be connected to our actions and be excited by our actions and care about the things we do. There has to be a focus on the world within for sure. So that's in terms of chinuch, in terms of our own steiging Tu B'Shvat. But I look at Tu B'Shvat as a very pneumistic chag. It's something going on deep underground. And when the Bardetchev shares with us that a situation where he says a situation where a melech should behave one way, and Hashem says, no, I control kings. I harden the heart of Parai. He says is the message of Tu B'Shvat, that I control the hearts of kings. And in a month, you'll see a Purim Chag that there'll be a king who will be against. And every political person will say, what's the hope? What's the answer? I'm just going to flip around the melech, what goes on behind the scenes. I'm just going to flip around his lave, and the melech's going to be a fan of yours. There's a world within. I say in the external world, we're in a tough matzav. Difficult, there's no solution. In the world of Pnim, everything can just, in a second, in the world of Hashem, the solutions are right there. In a second, everybody, the people that deserve to be put to death are taken care of. The karma that's supposed to happen happens, and the rest in a second don't have any tainas. In a world of Panim, we're not in a dangerous matzav. We need the Rabbeinu Shalom. We have to rely on Hashem. Klal Yisrael has been saying a lot of prayers. We're talking to Hashem and praying extra prayers till Him. I'm very excited that we've discovered Tillim. The day before the attack on Klal Yisrael, on Shmini Atzeres, I sat down and learned with my kids Tefillah L'Ani. Kapitel Kuf Beis, I saw Sfas Emes, and we pounded that Kapitel Tillim Kuf Beis. We sat down, we learned the whole Kapitel. We handled it the day before. And the Kapitel Tefillah L'Ani, the Zohar says that there are three prayers. There's Tefillah L'Moshe, Tefillah David, and Tefillah L'Ani. Tefillah L'Moshe is the prayer of the tzaddik. We all know that it's a din in Shulchan Aruch, a tzaddik. Somebody's a chayla, you go to a tzaddik to be mevakesh rachim, and that's Tefillah L'Moshe. Tefillah David is Tefillah B'tzibur. David is Levav, is Levav Ha'am. Is the Tefillah B'tzibur is always powerful. Says the Zohar, more powerful than Tefillah David, and Tefillah Moshe is Tefillah L'Ani. Tefillah L'Ani is the person who doesn't see physical solutions. In the world of Chitzonius, I don't know, but sees that behind the scenes, that's Hashem. That's Tefillah L'Ani. God, he turns to God. He doesn't have any other plans. He's not like davening his Geschäft works. He doesn't have a Geschäft. He's just davening to Hashem, Tefillah L'Ani. And the Zohar says that Tefillah L'Ani is more powerful than Tefillah Moshe and Tefillah David. So I say we've all as an Ummah discovered prayer. All of us should be Zeicha. To see Hashem should answer our prayers. We should see Yeshua's v'nechamais. But I say Yeshua's, ultimately we should see the Yeshua b'karev. Amen. We can sing Tefillah L'Ani again.